What's going on, junior historians? Mr. Cameron back again for the final episode of the America, a Dividing Nation chapter. And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about the election. No. Not this election. No, instead, I'm actually going to be talking to you about this election. Yes, that's right. It's the election of 1860. And the election of 1860 is going to be significant because this is basically the final event before the country tears itself apart and we go on to the Civil War. So as always, I have my highly scientific list here, hopefully you can see that, of the who, the what, the when, the where, and the why of this event, and why it's important for understanding the events leading up to the Civil War. So, as you could have guessed from the picture that I showed you before, the who of this event really surrounds one guy, and that is Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln in 1860 is going to become the President of the United States. Abraham Lincoln is a Republican, and even though Abraham Lincoln specifically said he would not interfere with slavery where it already existed, once Abraham Lincoln is elected, this is going to start the chain reaction of southern states leaving and forming their own nation, which becomes the Confederate States of America. That first state to, of course, secede, which is a fancy way of saying break away, is going to be South Carolina because they were a large slave-owning state. Their economy depended on it. So South Carolina's political leaders believed that if Lincoln came in and he abolished slavery, then their economy would collapse. The what, of course, is the election. This is an election year, so we are seeing the craziness of an election, while in 1860 it was equally crazy, maybe even more so. The when, of course, is in the year 1860. The where is the nationwide election, which I'll show you a map here shortly. And the why does this divide North and South? Well, I will show you a map of the election in 1860, and you will see exactly how divided the country was, how much Lincoln was supported in the North, and how much he was really hated in the South. So I'm going to try and be quick here, so that way you guys can get to work. So follow along with me as always, and I'll show you exactly what you need to do. All right, so as always, we're going to come over here to our class notebook. Now, the class notebook is going to be on the election of 1860. This will be shared with all of you, so you should know exactly where to find it, as always. So the first thing you're going to want to do is read Lincoln's House Divided speech. We did this for our Hippo practice. This is just a little bit of additional practice reading old documents, but you should already know these things. The House that Lincoln is referring to, of course, is the United States. We know the issue dividing the House. It's been the same issue that's been dividing the House all chapter. That's slavery. And then Lincoln, of course, in 1858, when he gives this speech, does not see the nation remaining half slave and half free. He believes it has to be all one thing or all the other. So, after you're done going through that, which is really just a recap of things that we've done before, you're going to come down here and you are going to read just a brief summary on the election of 1860. The Democratic Party is the party that had the political party that had the most support in the South. Well, they end up splitting into two different factions, which hurts their chances at winning in 1860. So Lincoln is able to come in as the Republican and win the nomination. So what I want you to do is I want you to look at these four questions here, and I want you to use the map below in order to answer these. So I want you to look at the map and show what does this map show us about the political division in the United States? Where did Republicans have their support? Where did Democrats have their support? And why do you think Lincoln received absolutely no support in the South? You guys should already know this based on what I just said, but many southern states are afraid that he's going to abolish slavery, which could ruin their economy. So, of course, here are your election results right here. As we will talk about in class, the presidential election is not a popularity contest. So even if you get the most popular votes, meaning if you get a larger number of people in the country to vote for you than your opponent, you're not guaranteed to win. The magic number, the thing that you need to get is these electoral votes over here, which we will go over more in depth here in the coming days. And certainly leading up to the election, we'll talk about these. But this is the map that I really want you to take a look at. So this is the voting results from 1860. You can see that in the red, in the north here, these are the states that Lincoln won. And in the South, this is where the Democrats had most of their support. And it wasn't just the Democrats. You also had in gold here, you had the Constitutional Union Party. But if you take a look here, you can see that Lincoln did not win a single Southern state. So what that means is that he did not have very much support, if any support at all, in the South. In fact, there were many Southern states where Lincoln was not even on the ballot. So he was very, very unpopular in the South. But as you can see, he was extremely popular in the North. And the North, with their higher population, had more electoral votes, which resulted in him winning by a vote of 180 to his closest opponent was John C. Breckinridge with 72. So you can see how divided the nation is just by looking at this map. Again, in the North, Lincoln has his support. In the South, they do not like him. So after looking at that map and answering those questions, here's a short biography video on Abraham Lincoln, and then I want you to finish it off with a Microsoft form that will ask you some of the key questions from this section. Again, guys, not too involved, not too much, but this is just going to give you a simple overview of the election of 1860, why it was important, and how it leads to Civil War. Now, don't forget, Lincoln is elected in November. Just about a month or two afterwards, South Carolina is going to vote to secede from the Union. So basically, after Lincoln is elected, South Carolina decides we do not want to be a part of the United States anymore. Cotton is so important to our economy. This is how it makes our money. And the institution of slavery was tied so deeply with cotton that South Carolina feared that Lincoln would try to abolish it, and that would just destroy their economy. And this is what's going to actually set off the Civil War starting in 1861. So we're going to be getting into the Civil War next chapter, but in this chapter we're finishing it off with the election of 1860. So hopefully you guys found this video helpful. If you do have any questions, as always, you can reach out to me, but I look forward to seeing your answers related to this event, and I will see you all in class or online in the days and weeks ahead. All right, guys, if you have any questions, make sure you reach out. Thanks.